Hey friends, you've seen me make puff pastry. You've seen me make pie pastry, but everybody's been asking me about my rough puff pastry. It's so simple, I never thought to make a video. Here it is. Sorry about the light, folks, but I'm working at the wrong end of my counter. You're going to need a food processor with an S blade. I'm just going to move this out of the way. You're going to need a 1/4 pound of butter, or 1 stick, and you're going to want to cut it into pats or bite-sized pieces, just like that. 1/4 pound of butter. You're going to need 1/2 cup to a cup of ice cold water, and you're going to need 1.5 cups of flour. Okay, so we have our 1.5 cups of flour, and we're just going to start. There goes my clock. Bird o'clock. It's bird o'clock, my kids would say, even though they're adults. We're just going to drop our butter in the flour. I should have chopped the flour first, but it was pretty smooth. And we're just going to pulse it. Now you want this the consistency of oatmeal. You want to be able to see the crumbles of butter in there. And now I'm just going to pour some, not all, about 1/2 cup of cold water in there. And we're going to just give it a couple more pulses. Now, we don't want to do any more pulsing with this blade. Now, I'm just going to empty this into a bowl. Make sure I have it all. It's really important, just like pie pastry or any other kind of pastry, not to overwork the dough. You don't, see how this is nice and crumbly? You don't want those lumps of butter to be mashed down in. A little bit more water. And I'm just, like I do with my pie pastry, I'd make a claw out of my hand and I just start flipping things around until it starts to all hold together. Now you're going to need another 1/2 cup of flour for rolling this. I just made probably too much. So we are probably going to make some tarts and maybe some turnovers. Now this dough feels a little on the sticky side, but that's good. Now you just gently fold it, and then fold it, and then fold it, and press again. But don't work it, don't knead it. You just fold it until we have all our stuff in here. See, just like that. And I'm just going to put this in a plastic bag, take all the air out, and I'm going to pop this in the fridge for about a 1/2 hour to rest. Okay, so since I made the rough puff pastry, I'm going to show you what I'll do with it. So first things first, I have some of Serenity Wolf's raspberry pie filling we're still working through. And everybody's been asking me to make a pie with my new blueberry pie filling. I'm not. I'm going to make turnovers. Getting some flour down on our tablecloth. And everybody asks me, or occasionally a new person will ask me, so I'm going to tell you. I roll out all my stuff, pastries, breads, whatever, on a cloth that has been powdered with flour. Why? Because it saves cleanup. I do everything I need to do, then I take the cloth outside and I flick the flour outside and I throw it in the wash, and I don't have to scrape dough off the table. So, here is our rough puff pastry. I don't know how well you can see it, but you can see the flecks of butter in that. Roughly pat it into a triangle shape. And I'm going to start rolling it out. Do not overwork your dough, folks. And we want this to run down to about, I don't know, 1/4 inch. Now some of these are going to be tarts. So right away, I'm going to cut this thicker piece off because that's going to be for my turnovers. Now I can still see a lot of butter, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this, and I'm going to fold it, and I'm going to roll it again. They call it rough puff. Why? Because it's not, we're not putting a layer of, you know, unbroken butter and then folding it around the pastry. We're just putting it in. I just use a tart shell, and I put in muffin wrappers so that I don't have to clean this and they don't stick. A 1/2 pint wide mouth jar is just about the perfect size. 1, 2. Maybe it's the lid that's the bigger size. Okay, it's the jar lid that makes a bigger, better size. If you want to make these bigger, all it's going to do is go up the size of your shell, which is fine, especially when you have paper in it. Now, I'm just going to take a spoon and this raspberry, lovely, thank you Serenity Wolf, raspberry pie filling. And you're only going to put about 2 teaspoons. You don't want to overfill your pastry. Why? Because it's going to fluff up and go over the outside if you're not careful. So no more than a tablespoon in a small shell. Bring this piece of pastry back. And I'm just going to cut out, I have one of these, a tiny cookie cutter, diamond shape. And I'm just going to cut out decorative tops. Just a little something, something. Isn't that pretty? On to the turnover. Just made sure my oven was preheated at 350 degrees. I'm going to roll this out into as much of a rectangle as I can get. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut these in half and half again. Okay, so we have roughly 4 squares. Now here is our homemade blueberry pie filling. And we're going to make some turnovers for Papa. Look at that. This is beautiful. I could probably get a whole pie out of what's left in this jar. So I'll be making a pie next week. That is beautifully thick pie filling. There, just like a blizzard. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some, I've got some egg white and a splash of water. And I'm just going to go around the edges. Fold and press the corner. You just want a little bit of venting left at the corners. And remember folks, when you make your own pie filling, you can control the sugar. But if you're going to use less than half of the recipe, I recommend that you pressure can your pie filling. Okay. We'll get these turnovers on the tray. We'll give them an egg wash. Now if you want, you can sprinkle some coarse sugar on here. We don't need the extra sugar, so we don't add it. But an egg wash will give you a nice golden color. These and the tarts are going into a 350 degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes. We'll see you when they come out. Here is our, and it's very, very hot, but here is our turnover. And as tempting as these are, do not eat them fresh out of the oven. You will burn your mouth. And yes, folks, I slightly overfilled my tarts. Why? Well, because I had the extra filling. It is so hard, folks, not to pop one of these in your mouth. It really is. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. And as soon as these cool down, Papa's going to try a turnover. Here, look at, now, you can see the flakiness of this pastry. Nice crunch, eh? Mm. Let's see the filling. Mm.
Very nice.
Awesome.
I'll save them for later.
Awesome. Thank you, honey. This is the Miss Wolfie from our half-acre homestead saying, if you have pie filling in your pantry and an easy recipe for rough puff, you've got unlimited dessert potential. Take care. God bless.